Just more blatant market manipulation yesterday and today. We're seeing this pattern repeat where Donald Trump tanks the markets. People lose their life savings, their education funds, their 527 accounts, their pensions, their 401ks are disasters. Manufacturing gets destroyed. And when the market is about to just fully tank, something happens. All of a sudden, we see kind of the stock market rising, and we're not really sure, well, where's that coming from? And then later in the day, Donald Trump makes an announcement like he did yesterday, where he said that he's not going to be tough on China, that 145% tariffs are too high, the tariffs he imposed on China. And then he says that once the markets close, the future markets explode. And who's benefiting from all of this? Like the insiders. And so yesterday, there was this private meeting that was held, this investor private meeting that JP Morgan held. It was not open to the public. And all of a sudden, as this meeting's taking place, even right before the meeting, as the meeting's taking place, all of a sudden the market starts turning green and it looks good. And there's really no reason for it. So, I know I was asking a bunch of, my staff. I want the market to do great. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying, what's the driver here? And we couldn't identify it. But then we saw this come out over the wire around 11:55 East Coast time from Bloomberg about a meeting that took place earlier that nobody knew about. Secret meetings, private meetings. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told a closed-door investor summit Tuesday that the tariff standoff with China is unsustainable and that he expects the situation to de-escalate. Bessent added that negotiations haven't started, but that a deal is possible, according to people who attended his session at an event hosted by JP Morgan Chase & Co. in Washington, which wasn't open to the public or media. I have a question. Why isn't that meeting insider trading per se? Right? I mean, you can ask other securities lawyers what they think about it. If you're exchanging information like that, shouldn't you be obligated, if you're the Treasury Secretary, to make that statement public to everyone? Because if you're in that room, you're getting that information from a public official. So you're probably saying, well, I guess it's not insider trading if the Treasury Secretary's telling us. Now that's presumptively public information. Or maybe you're just not even thinking that way and you're sending messages back, to, make sure you're buying right now into the market, because you go, the market's going to go up like crazy. And what we saw right around this time, Unusual Whales does a great job tracking it, like they did in early April when there was market manipulation. Right as this private JP Morgan conference is taking place, and Scott Bessent is saying that, here you're seeing very unusual trading activity. There was this huge SPXW contract that was bought during this time period. And just SPXW is one of these exchange traded funds. Like there's another one, $SPY, which trade alongside the S&P 500. There are other ones called like QQQ, which trades alongside the NASDAQ, and they're kind of in proportion to all the stocks on the NASDAQ. And so if you think just the entire NASDAQ's going to go up or the S&P is going up, you'll buy SPX or you'll buy SPY, and then it just goes up. And so you're seeing that take place then and during the meeting. And then the rest of us get this news, but even though you get this news at 11:55, I mean, if you take a look at it, insiders seem to have known even more about what Trump was going to say later in the day. Because if you look at this, Bessent says that negotiations with China haven't even started yet, right? That's what Bessent said. Remember what Donald Trump said? I'm going to just give you the data points of market manipulation here. Remember, was it last week? Yeah, the end of last week, Donald Trump claimed he was speaking with Xi Jinping. He's like, of course I'm speaking with Xi Jinping. Let me show you the clip of Donald Trump saying that. Here, play this clip.
We're talking.
Have you ever talked directly to President Xi?
I don't want to say that. It's just not appropriate.
But you're speaking. Sorry. Has he called you directly, President Xi, or reached out to try to facilitate a conversation?
Well, you'd think it was pretty obvious that he has, but we will talk about that soon. It's not that important because, honestly, we're going to have a deal. I believe we're going to have a deal with China. And if we don't, we're going to have a deal anyway because we're going to set a certain target, and that's going to be it. Do you have anything to say about that, Howard?
Okay, well, according to Besant, he says that he has confidence that there's going to be a deal with China. He says the tariff standoff with China is unsustainable and expects the situation to de-escalate, but negotiations haven't even started. So how could you be confident with what you're saying there about de-escalation if you haven't even had a conversation yet? So Joe Weisenthal wrote, Scott Bessent gave comments that massively moved the markets to a private JP Morgan event that wasn't open to the public or even the media. Sean Broderick explained, in case you're wondering why we're seeing a face ripper of a rally in the stock market today, how can the rest of us get this closed door service that moved markets trillions of dollars? Also, it seems like a deal is close given that negotiations haven't even started. How is a deal close? But no, what was going to happen and what was going to move the markets is what then happened later in the day. Donald Trump held a press conference once the markets closed, right? So the insiders were able to make their moves right away. And then a reporter, just like on cue, as though they were prompted to ask Donald Trump the question, are you going to play hardball with China? Are you going to mention COVID? Weird question. Then Donald Trump says, no, I'm not going to play hardball. Just think about Trump saying, I'm not playing hardball with China. Play this clip.
And our country is getting stronger all the time because the other was not sustainable.
Started with China.
Are you going to play hardball with them? Are you going to mention COVID?
Well, I'm not going to say, no, I'm not going to mention COVID. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to play hardball with China. I'm going to play hardball with you, President Xi. No. We're going to be very nice. They're going to be very nice. And we'll see what happens. But ultimately, they have to make a deal because otherwise they're not going to be able to deal in the United States. So we want.
Then Donald Trump says that 145% tariffs on China, which he imposed, too high, very high, he said. Okay, play this clip.
Earlier today, Treasury Secretary Bessent suggested that with the tariff rates as high as they are now, it's effectively an embargo of trade between the United States and China. Do you see that?
That's true. 145% is very high, and it won't be that high. It's not going to be that high. It got up to there. We were talking about fentanyl, where various elements built it up to 145. No, it won't be anywhere near that high.
What level do you think it'll come down to if you have it?
It'll come down substantially, but it won't be zero. It used to be zero. We were just destroyed. China was taking us for a ride, and just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We're going to be very good to China, have a great relationship with President Xi, but they would make billions and billions and billions of dollars a year, and they would build their military out of the United States and what they made, so that won't happen. But they're going to do very well, and I think they're going to be happy, and I think we're going to live together very happily and ideally work together. So I think it's going to work out very well. But no, it's at 145%. It will not be anywhere near that number.
And then to top it all off, then Donald Trump says that he has no intention on firing Jerome Powell, who last week he said he has intentions of firing, right? We all heard what he said last week. He said that, if I want to get rid of him, I'll get rid of him. He's a major loser. Here, play this clip.
Late's not good.
Mr. President,
I don't want to talk about that because I have no intention of firing.
Mr. President,
there are reports that you're considering doing something for moms across the country, giving them some type of bonus whenever they have a child. Are you considering that? Or
Sounds like a good idea to me. Yeah, please.
You have no intention of firing Jerome Powell because here, economic advisor Kevin Hassett a few days ago said that you and people in the White House are studying this idea of possibly doing before his term ends.
No.
Do you have any plans on doing it?
None whatsoever. Never did. The press runs away with things. No, I have no intention of firing him. I would like to see him be a little more active in terms of his idea to lower interest rates. This is a perfect time to lower interest rates. If he doesn't, is it the end? No, it's not. But it would be good timing. It could have taken place earlier. But no, I have no intention to fire him.
Last time you talked to him, sir.
I don't want to comment on that. That doesn't matter.
All right. So you have all of that happen. The market's crashing. People, the average investors, we don't know all of these things. We're scared. Our 401ks are dropping. Do we have to tap into our 529 accounts? Main Street's getting screwed as well. I mean, manufacturing plants are getting shut down. People who, both import and export, because there's essentially an embargo now. The tariffs that China has in retaliation and our tariffs against China basically is like a mutual embargo of trade. So the, freight is basically shut down. Truckers are getting screwed, but there's this massive amount of market manipulation taking place. And all these wealthy people, right? What do we learn about them as well? Right before Donald Trump's announcement about Liquidation Day, which Trump called Liberation Day, right? The billionaires and the oligarchs, what'd they do? They sold high. They sold all their stock, or a lot of their stock high. We learned about all of these rich people, billionaires selling, cashing out, right? And now what are they doing? They sold high, market crashes, and then they're buying low. But it's even more nefarious than that, because what they keep doing with creating this volatility is they're creating these situations where the market's still going down, but they keep buying right before it goes back up, and then they screw everybody again, giving everybody hope. Like, y'all remember what went down first on April 7th. The White House said it was fake news, that there was going to be a pause on tariffs. After the market shot up, then the market went back down. And then April 9th, 2025, what happened? Donald Trump sent the post. Now is a great time to buy. Right before then, even the market starts to boom, for the day. And then Donald Trump announces the pause on tariffs. The market goes through the roof. So then what happens? Then Donald Trump announces 145% tariffs on China, or 245% tariffs. And then it crashes again. You see the patterns here, in my view, of clear market manipulation. And why are there these private meetings taking place in the first place? I'll show you what Democratic Congress member Stephen Horsford had to say about a week ago or so. Here, play this clip.
If there was market manipulation, it is a crime. Someone needs to go to jail. It is time. And to be clear, Reverend Sharpton, billionaires made $300 billion when the president lifted that pause. So who knew what when? Meanwhile, the people who had their retirement savings, people who had health savings accounts, people who had college savings accounts, we've seen those accounts decline in value, and that is affecting the very livelihoods of the majority of the Americans. So is this about getting billionaires richer, or is this about making sure that we have a tariff policy that protects American workers and American businesses? I believe that Donald Trump and members of Congress that knew must be held accountable, and there should be a full investigation. I want the documents. I want the signal chats too, because I don't trust them that they weren't sharing all this information across their signal chats.
And I agree with him. And I'll leave you with this thought right here. And then Will Stansel puts it appropriate. It's pretty wild when you think about it, that the political press spent 4 years saying Biden's real test is, will Americans approve of his economy? And then Trump's been president for 3 months, and he's brutally murdering the economy, and the political press just isn't all that focused on it. Wild. Or here's Ben Carlson's post. Bessent negotiating a trade deal with China. Tell me what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers.
New Midas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.MeidasTouch.com.